Hello, welcome everybody to today's session of Consolidate Your To-Do List, how Microsoft To-Do makes the most of your integrated action items. This has been a huge improvement in my productivity over the last year, so I hope I can share some tips and tricks that we've learned, especially in the era of remote work, that can help you integrate all your action items into one big to-do list. If anybody's like me, I was a habitual note on paper, and then I would lose all of those notepads and different to-do lists, so this has really helped. So let's get into it. First, I'll introduce, my name is Stephanie Kingsley, and I will be presenting today's content, and then behind the scenes we have Jonathan Fondell, who is producing. So let's get right into it. So at a high level, here's what we're going to be covering today. Really, the problem we're trying to solve is we all have too many tasks in too many places. I know we get asked to do things both verbally, through emails, through Teams, through chats. There's so many different places that we have tasks coming from, and one of the biggest productivity lulls is trying to consolidate those and figure out what you need to do next, and we waste more time trying to figure that out than actually doing our tasks. So we'll be kind of going through a couple different tools, and what we found is a best practice for which one might be best for capturing what type of task. That's another thing that's been, a learning curve over the last year is, whether it's a group task or project, or whether it's one-on-one or individual, there might be a different tool that handles that better. So we'll go through that. And then lastly, the big help is how to see your full to-do list. So having tasks spread out and then bringing them all together so that you can prioritize and go through that list. Before we get started, we always like to do 1 minute about MyTech, just let everybody know who we are. So we are a business and technology consultant that serves small to medium-sized businesses in our in our two locations right now, the Twin Cities in Minnesota and Denver, Colorado. And really what's different is that we work with these clients to implement a proven IT strategy that's in alignment with their business goals. Ultimately, we're trying to remove their IT challenges and really make IT easy for them. We all, as small business employees and owners, have a million different challenges in a day, and we're really just trying to remove those IT challenges so that you can focus on the other ones and be more adaptable to things that come up in a given day or month. What we found is that clients that are aligned with us and we've implemented this proven IT strategy, they're achieving 4 times more value and productivity from their IT investments. So if that's something that you'd like to have a discussion on, please raise your hand or reach out to us after the session. We'd love to talk more about how maybe we can help you or someone you know's organization, but that's not why you're here today. So let's start digging into the content. All right, so to-dos everywhere. We talked before, there's so many different types of to-dos, group tasks, individual tasks, and one-on-one, and maybe some small short-term collaboration tasks. The biggest challenge that I've seen is, I think a few years ago, we had meetings, let's say a department meeting, so group tasks here, where we're assigning different action items out of that meeting, and a couple years ago it was, where do those tasks live? Maybe in an Excel sheet. Maybe they were in meeting minutes that were sent afterwards in an email. Maybe they were on a notepad that you jotted down. And one of the challenges with that is A, they're scattered everywhere, so you're trying to remember where that was documented, but B, there's no visibility to one another. As either a department lead or even an employee in a department, sometimes our tasks are dependent on one another, and having visibility into where somebody is, notes on that tasks, is important. So we're going to talk a little bit about group tasks, and it's really about those tasks that we want visibility and or collaboration on. The next set of tasks is individual tasks. So, outside of what your teammates or your team members might be, wanting to collaborate or expect from you, you have your individual tasks that, I have to do this, I have to do that, or here's a subset that I have to remember, but really the rest of your team doesn't need to know about. This has been something that we've kind of gone back and forth with over the last year on what Microsoft 365 tool might be, good use for this, but I feel like we've landed in a good spot. So we'll get into that, but really these are the ones that only you need to have visibility in, and it's more of a checklist for you, and it's more about prioritization and just, remembering that task exists. I don't know how many of you, I know I do all the time, think of something that I need to do, and if I don't put it somewhere, the day gets away from me and then I might not remember it for another 2 months or so, or until somebody else asks me for it. So we'll get into that here in a second. And then the last one I want to talk about is one-on-one or small group tasks. So maybe you're a team leader who has one-on-one meetings with your employees, and there are tasks that maybe just you two need visibility to, not the rest of the team. Or maybe you have a small collaboration project, like maybe the upcoming summer picnic, and you have tasks that come out of that that again are not really the entire team needs visibility to. It's just that small subset, and it's kind of a short-term project. It's not something that's living on for years and years and years. So we'll kind of talk through the pros and cons and maybe different tools that you can use for that. So those are kind of the high level of the tasks that we're going to go through and kind of demo, and then kind of give you the reasons why we found one to work over the other. All right, so let's get into the demonstration. All right, let's close out of this, get this out of the way. All right, so group tasks first. What we found, and I think most everybody has found, and we're starting to get more familiar with, is the application planner we found is really good for group tasks. So I'm going to pull that up here. As you can see, I'm just going to office.com, which will bring me back to the screen, but to just show you, office.com is going to be your one-stop shop for all of your Microsoft 365 apps. If it's used more frequently, you're going to see it over here in the left-hand side. Otherwise, you can always go up to what we call the waffle here to find all of your apps. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Planner, and it brings me into Microsoft Planner. So what is Planner? We have other sessions that go much deeper into Planner and how to use, but at a high level, Planner is really a plan that is attached. You can create them separately, but it's really about team collaboration and team planning. So you can see I have a bunch of plans here. I'm going to show you how this works both in the app and within Microsoft Teams. But I'm going to go into a team here. So let's say the marketing team. Let's say we're all meeting and we found that, let's say Jonathan needs to complete something. So as our team meeting, and we need to know when it's completed or what notes or if there's links that we need to review. So we want visibility into something that Jonathan's working on. So in that meeting, we might add a task here where we might say, write blog. We're going to assign that task specifically to Jonathan here, and we're going to set a due date of next Monday, before next Monday's meeting, and we're going to add that task. So that's how you would add a task in Planner, and stay with me here. I'm going to go through the different tools and what we recommend for what kind of tasks, and then like we said at the end is when we're going to pull it all together to see how we can see all of these tasks in one application. But I want to show you, this is a way you can do it absolutely in the web browser here, but this is also available in our Teams client as well. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to add a task to another planner so that we can show how they all come together. All right, let's see. Let me go back actually just to make sure. I'm going to add one more and I'm going to add it for myself so that we can see how that all comes together. So this one's going to be review that blog. Let's say I have to review the blog. I'm going to assign that to myself here, set that due date for the day after, and I'm going to add that task. All right. So just to show the functionality in both, let's go to Microsoft Teams. I'm going to go down to this client team collaboration. Let's see, that doesn't have a planner attached to it. Let's go to business. Here we go. Where is it? I had another one I was going to show you. Of course, I can't find it now. Here we go. So I'm going to go to the operations team. There's an action and items and to-dos. So I'm going to come in here. Again, this is just how you see Planner integrated into Microsoft Teams. So same functionality here. I'm going to go ahead and add a task, and I'm going to say review blog 2, just so that we can see the difference, and assign that to me. You can also assign it to multiple people. So if that's something that I had to work with Jonathan on, I could assign it to him as well. And we'll set a due date for that, and we'll add that task. So this is what we would recommend, or what we have found most helpful in doing group tasks, is using the planner inside of your team. Use it during your department meetings to find those tasks that team visibility and team collaboration is needed on. So we have other sessions that go far deeper into Planner, so be sure to check those out. Jonathan might post one here in the Q&A. but or you can go to our YouTube channel and see those. So we'll get much deeper into Planner, into those sessions. All right, so the next one I wanted to cover was individual tasks. So these are the type of tasks where someone's emailed you or sent you a message in Teams, or maybe you were at home, and this happens to me all the time. I always remember I have to do something at home. So the kind of public service announcement I'd like to make on that is Microsoft To Do is the app that we're recommending to use. So I'm going to pull that up here, and they have a mobile app. So I highly recommend that you download the mobile app to your phone, because it has been extremely helpful, especially, I don't know how many of you, maybe when you have an idea when you were not in the office, or it's after hours, you email yourself, which you can still do, because I'm going to show you some tricks for that. But really adding the To Do app to your phone, it makes it just easier for me to go in. I can write it down, and then my brain can let it go. So I'm not trying to remember it the next day. So download the To Do app. This will make a world of difference for all, and you'll see at the end how to bring all these together. So I would recommend that. All right, so let's think through some of the ways that we get those individual tasks. So the first thing is we can come into, it might be something you just think of. So I'm in the To Do app, and there is a spot here that says tasks. So the easiest way to just add a task is to just add a task. So let's say I need to, let's just say order more pens for marketing. So this is something that I have to remember to do. I'm going to go ahead and just hit enter to add it. But then show you just a couple features that you can add here, as far as you can add steps within this. Some pros and cons to that. I think, for instance, I have here new product catalog, where I could have first product, second product, third product. This is okay, but when we get to the end, I'm going to talk through kind of planning your day. And to me, there's a satisfaction when I check something off. And if we're adding multiple steps within one task, that task just stays there longer, and it may be more of a feeling, but it just doesn't give me that sense of productivity and then getting things done. So I tend to like to break them apart into multiple tasks. Again, I think it keeps it less overwhelming, and it helps me plan better to know that I have to do this one, and then this one, and then this one, rather than bulking them all into one. That's truly preference. If you prefer to break it down in steps within the task, you absolutely can do that. So that's just a word of note of something that I've experienced. But also there's the option here to do reminders and repeat. So I've done repeat maybe for, once a month I have to download something, or I have to set up metrics for ROI for marketing, or things like that. So you can actually create tasks and then set a date for it to repeat on, so that it will automatically just keep adding it to your task list each month. This is perfect for those repetitive tasks that you just don't want to forget. Creating or doing your expense report at the end of the month is a great one. Again, just it gives you that visual reminder that you need to get something done. You can add files, add notes. This is probably the best way, especially when maybe I'm in a virtual meeting, or I have my computer right in front of me and something comes up and I'm like, I need to do that. This is how I'm going to go ahead and add that, is through the tasks in To Do. But one of the biggest ways that I get tasks, or the most often, is through email. If we were in session, I would ask you to raise your hand, but how many people ask you to do things in email, and we can't always do them right away? So there's a couple different ways that we can add these to our big consolidated action items at the end. So as you can see here, I have a couple emails, and I'm going to show you the difference, because they are slightly different in the web version and the desktop application. So I have the desktop application of Outlook open here, and what I'm going to do is show you just a couple different ways that we can add this. So for instance, here Jonathan sent me, he's looking for data from sales before the Friday meeting, and how soon do you think I can get that to him? So a couple different things to note here, and we also have done a session on Outlook tips and tricks and managing your inbox, so be sure to check that out if you want to go deeper. But at a high level, if this is something that you necessarily need to schedule time for, in past sessions we've let you know you can drag and drop this right onto the calendar and create a calendar invite or time on your calendar to actually, of course it's not responding because it's a demo, there it goes. So you can actually create time on your calendar to follow up on this. So that's one way that you can do it. But the other way, so for instance, this email here, TPS reports, funny, Jonathan. So this one is something that I have to do. I have to get this done. So what I would do is actually drag this and hover over this check mark, which is the tasks icon. So by doing that, it's going to pop open a task for me, and I can do those same things that I was doing in tasks and to do. This is Outlook tasks, but you can set the start date, reminder, all of that good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and save this just as is, add it to my tasks, so that I know that I need to work on that later. Now it's being added to my task list. I wanted to show you real quickly because there is a difference. I'm going to go back over here to office.com and pull open the web version of Outlook because it's different, and this kind of caught me off guard. So you can see down here, I still have the calendar, and then that tasks and to do is right here, but we can't actually hover and drop. So that kind of threw me for a loop. So just to note that those are up here. So if you see here my day, and it's kind of got that check mark, which is kind of known for to do and tasks. If you click on that, and sorry, I should be kind of showing you there, you can see where my cursor is because sometimes it can get small. This is where you can add those. So you would actually take this and you could drag it over, and this is where you can either add it as an event, so that calendar time reminder, or you can add as a task. So I'll drop this one here and add that as a task. So just wanted to show you kind of the difference between adding it in the web version versus the Outlook app. Awesome. So then the last way in Outlook that you can add these to an ever-growing task list is by flagging an email. So as you hover over, and this is both in the web client and or the web version and the desktop application, is you have these little flags. So if you flag the message, and I'll go back over into the desktop application here and flag, this will also, you're going to see at the end, will bring it all together to be a full task list. And as you can see, that one synced from the web here. So now this one is flagged as well. So that's how to add tasks that you may have in your Outlook to our integrated action items. One more thing I want to show you, which I'm actually really excited about. So in conversations, even today, I was saying over the last year in particular, have gotten more and more tasks through Microsoft Teams just because we've been using it so much more with people working remote and things like that. And I was really surprised that Microsoft hasn't built or allowed you to create a task from a team, from either a post in a team or a chat. If somebody were to ask, hey, can you get this done? Yeah, what do you think about this update? You know, I wanted to be able to create a task. Well, lo and behold, a little research, and I found that if you go into Microsoft Teams and click on this ellipsis over here, this brings up an application kind of search. And if you do, I'm going to go to more apps just to bring up the full screen so you can see here. So just a public service announcement before I show this. These applications have been designed to work with Teams, but they are not from Microsoft. I say that because Microsoft, we understand, has a team and billions of dollars updating and managing the security and everything behind it. Now, these applications have been reviewed and added to the Teams by Microsoft, saying that this is an okay application to add into this portal, but it's not necessarily from Microsoft. So there are some back-end permissions, just FYI, that your administrative might have not allowed you to add these, and or if there was ever a security concern with one of them, they should be able to, they can go ahead and disconnect them. So the application I'm about to show you is not created by Teams, so I just want everybody to understand that it works well, but if for some reason you can't get it, you may need to talk to your admin, and or if there's ever a security vulnerability, it might be taken away or removed from the store. So anyways, now that we're in here, we're going to go to apps, and we're going to look for tasks. And there's a couple that come up. There's this task by planner. That's not necessarily the one we're looking for. I'll show you that at the end here. But it's this tasks down here. So you would go ahead and click this. I already added it in, but it's basically going to ask you to authenticate into Microsoft, so your username and password for Microsoft, and you're going to have to click allow to let it to be used. And once you do that, it's set up. And this is what I find really cool. So now I can go to a chat and I can hover over the 3. So let's say Jonathan sent me this. What do you think? And I'm like, oh, I can't respond right now to this, but I want to add this to my task list or my to-dos. So I'm going to hover over the 3 ellipses. I'm going to click on this, go down to more actions, and now I have create a task. So that's going to actually pop this up. I could say, please review this agenda before the next meeting and select a due date. I'll say the 18th. If I want to add any additional, remind me, importance, all that we can fill out and hit send. And it's now been added, and I'll show you this in a moment, in Outlook and in To-Do, close. It also works within a team. So let's say I was in my marketing team here, and somebody posted Christmas party planning. This is from a long time ago. Let's do this one. Sharing and collaborating on an attached document. And again, I want to remember to go back and review this. You can also do these on posts. Same thing. Over the 3 dots, the ellipsis, more actions, create a task, and I can say review and add comments to document. All right, we're going to put that one. I just want to do that by the end of the month. So I'll put it down there and hit send. So now I've created tasks there too. So those are the ways that we would recommend that, you've got tasks coming from every location, things that you just think of, emails, so in Outlook, and then now chat too, where people might be asking you to do something in chat. And these are, again, are your personal tasks that you need to do, or I need to remember to do this. So those are some ways that you can add to-dos or tasks for those. Hang with me, we've got one more before we'll bring it all together. So the next type of task that I want to talk through is one-on-one or small group collaboration. So I'm going to bring up my to-do app here. Let's go down here. So how many department leaders have a team, maybe multiple people on their team that they have weekly one-on-ones with? In those one-on-ones, typically, you're going through some personal development and future-looking things, but there's also tasks that usually come out of that don't necessarily need team visibility. So, in the past, we've maybe added those to a planner, like our marketing team planner, or we've even talked about creating a separate plan that you're able to collaborate on those tasks, but just between just you and the employee. The challenge with creating a planner or a Teams site or a Teams channel just for that is it does create a lot of back-end structure that maybe is just not necessary when all you're trying to do is get a task list between the two. So here's one way that we found that might be able to solve it, and that is in Microsoft To Do. When you're in here, you can see it says add new list. So I'm going to show you how to create it first, and then I'll show you kind of what it looks like. So you would create a new list. So let's just say shared task list. And once you have that created, if you go up here, you'll see this icon with the plus. If you click that, it allows you to create an invitation link. So when I click create invitation link, what it does, it gives you a link. I can copy the link or I can email the link. What this does is whoever you send that link to, it's inviting them to be part of that list. One of the things I know we've gotten questions on in the past here, and I'll show you kind of what that looks like. So here are a couple shared task lists that I've created. So this one is with Nate, and then this one is with Jonathan. One of the biggest questions and the concerns that we had when we started looking into this is, now that these people have access to this list, can they see any of the others? They cannot. What it looks like on their end is they would have their their tasks and everything that we're going to show up here, and then they would see only the shared task list with you or any others that they have with other people. They can't see anything else of yours within the to-do. So this is really perfect for, again, creating tasks, and you do it the same way you would just create a task for yourself, where you can add something in here. So I can say create case study, and I can add that to the list. And then I can come in and we can just have it on here as unassigned. Maybe it's just something between the two of us, or if we wanted to assign it so that I have visibility, but maybe I want Jonathan to know that this is on his plate to do, I can assign it to him there. And you can see it comes up with the little J or the SK depending. And this goes two ways. So Jonathan could also think of something like, oh, I got to tell Stephanie to do this. He can add that to that list, and then this way we can add notes, we can check it off, and we can let each other know where we are in the process and have that visibility with just one-on-one. This is also great to be used, like we said, for those small projects like planning a company picnic. Maybe you have a shared task list that's between 4 individuals on a short-term project that you're doing. So you're able to collaborate on, you know, who's ordering the balloons, who's doing the catering and things like that. So this is a great way to do those short-term projects, or one-on-one, or maybe a group of 3 that need to collaborate on tasks. All right, so those we've covered now, the group tasks, the individual tasks, and the one-on-one or small group tasks. So now we have all these tasks, they're within different tools. How do we bring them all together? So the tool that we recommend using is Microsoft To Do, which we're already in, which is awesome. So we've already kind of dipped our toes in the water on that. You'll see over here on the left, we have a couple different things. So automatically it has tasks. So these are the things that we were talking about. This is stuff that I've added, that I need to do this. Don't forget about this. Maybe I added it, see, through a message or a note. So a note when I was dragging those emails to add a task, it's adding it right into my tasks. These are like my individual tasks that I need to remember to do. The other thing I see here is flagged email. So anytime we're flagging an email, it's also being added into this application, which again, I think is a great way that there's an email, and if you didn't want to drag it down to add it to tasks, you can just flag it and it will add it in here. There's also a couple other things that we can add in here. So I'm going to go up to my name here and click on it and go down to settings. When we click on settings, this is where we can really start bringing everything in. So there's a couple different settings here that you can kind of review on your own, as far as if you want to add new to the top and things like that. Play a completion sound, which is, again, for someone like me who just, that's when I feel productive, is when I can check that off and it makes a little bell sound. It's amazing. Confirm before deleting, things like that. But down here under Smart Lists, this is where you can really start to bring in a lot of those tasks. So there's a couple here. Planned. If I turn this on, what this is doing is anything that's planned within Planner, and or if you've set due dates or anything like that, it's going to bring in all those tasks right into your to-do, even from Planner. So if you're part of 5 different Planner plans, it's bringing anything that's planned and assigned to you. We'll get to in a second, or sorry, planned. So it has to have you assigned and a due date. That's what planned is. It will create a list for it. So you can turn that on. Assigned to you is another one. So this again might be if there's a planner task out there that doesn't necessarily have a due date, but it's assigned to you, it brings it into this list. So these are all smart lists that basically are looking at different metadata or data that are on Outlook tasks, flagged emails, your tasks, planner action items, and bringing them into these smart lists. You could have one that's just completed if you wanted to. Important, we'll kind of show that. This is if you deem some important, and I'll show you that in a second. But the biggest one that I like, and it's turned off by default, so you have to come in here to turn it on, is all. So we're going to go ahead and click that on. You can also see here, these are usually turned on, but if they're not, this is where you would turn them on. So planner and flagged email. This is where you can connect those apps and turn all of that on. All right, so I have all of that on. I'm going to go back to my settings here, and now you're going to see I have a lot more here. So I would go through and feel which one works best for you. I typically will turn some of these other ones off because it just gets noisy for me, and I kind of focus on the all, but you kind of have to get a feel to see what's the best for you. So I'm going to go into all here. So here you can see across everything that we just did: email, individual tasks, chat, flagged emails, and planners. I have a full task list, my full to-dos, and it shows you right now it's sorted by where it came from. Here's a shared task list with Jonathan, a shared task list, that's hard to say, with Nathan, my individual tasks, my flagged emails, and my planner tasks. And then within there, you can go up to the ellipsis here and then even sort further, sort by, there it is, by due date, by importance, alphabetically, creation date. So then if I wanted to know at any given point, what are my number one things that I need to get done now, I could sort all my tasks across all those apps to see, here's my task list, here's by my due date, what do I need to get done? And then ultimately, there's a my day. So this is more of a, a personal preference on how you plan your day. But, I would strongly recommend that the end of a previous day or the beginning of a day, going through this list and then adding things, and I'll show you here in a second, to your day. What are you planning on getting done today? And be realistic. I know I struggle with this. I have these mighty, feats that I'm going to get so much done, and we really need to be realistic and understand that tasks come, somebody stopping by to ask you to print something out or this or that. So be realistic on what you can get done, and add that to your day. So for instance, here I'm going to right click and I'm going to add review this document. I'm going to get that done today. I'm going to order the employee apparel today. I'm going to add that to my day, and I'm going to finish the new event descriptions. Add that to my day. All right, so what does that do? It adds it to your day. As a public service, this just makes like kind of a link to it. So if you delete it off of here, it doesn't delete it from your tasks. All it does is it pulls it off of my day. This is just kind of condensing that list into a short, so I can focus on here's what I want to get done today. So as I'm going through, I can either check it off and get it done, or if I didn't get it done, I just remove it from my day and it's still located here. One other place I want to show you real quick, I know we're going over here, is you can also see these within your Outlook. So if you go to Outlook here and click on the little tasks, to do or tasks, public service announcement, Microsoft is changing all the namings of things. So you'll see tasks, to do, planner kind of interchange. I think right now it's task by to do because they're moving all the naming convention into tasks. So you'll start to see those names intermingled. But here you can see it's also put it right in this pane for me to see my to-do list, my tasks, and my shared task list here as well, so that you can have visibility right in Outlook, which I'm sure you're in multiple hours a day. In addition, if you go to the three dots here in Microsoft Teams, there is a task by planner. That's the new naming convention here that you can add. And this also basically just embeds that to-do app right in Teams, which I'm sure you're in on a daily basis as well. So just it's easy access, and it follows all of those same settings that were inside of to-do. All right, so I know we went a little bit over. I'm going to pop back in here just to close it out. So key points that I hope everybody can take from today are group tasks, use Planner for assigning them and team visibility. Individual tasks, I recommend flagging emails, adding tasks in Outlook or To-Do, and because I literally just found out today, use the app in chats and posts in Teams to add tasks as well. And then one-on-one and small group tasks, create shared to-do lists for those small group short-term projects and tasks between you and another person. So I think if this has really helped us by looking at the type of task or to-do that we're trying to do, and then identify what tool kind of works best, and that's what we found has been working best. All right, so recommended action items. Something you can do right now, go download the Microsoft To-Do app, start using that, start getting used to that and adding all those in there. It will free up your mind if you're like me and many others where you think about, on your way to work, on your way home from work, you're, out with the kids and you think of something. write it down, get it off your mind. It will really help you out. Write down a few key takeaways. Just, you know, we learned a lot today. We went through a lot. Like, start implementing 1 or 2 of them. So think of what 1 or 2 things you could start doing. Maybe it's just a shared list, or maybe it's going in and checking all so that you can get all your action items together. But start doing that today. Take those baby steps. Raise a hand if you want to discuss how we can help with this or any other Microsoft 365. We'd love to have a conversation, or even our IT services as a whole. Be sure to reach out. We'd love to have a conversation on how we might be able to help you further. And then lastly is just join us for future events. We're doing these every other week, as well as our Power User Group sessions. We'd love to have you back for more and see what we can get through. So those are recommended next action items. Thank you. I apologize, we ran a little over. We'll open it up here for questions in a second, but thank you so much for attending. Hopefully this can help you enhance your productivity, and it takes time. You know, these are tools that we're using on a daily basis here, and it's still, you know, it takes time to get used to. It takes discipline, but it really does help us stay more productive. So I hope that it can just enhance your productivity, even at the slightest. So thank you for attending, and we'll go ahead and open it up for questions.